We're in Bava Kama, Daf Nun Vav Amud Aleph, towards the bottom of the Amud. If you scroll towards the bottom, at the two dots, Nifritza Balayla Osher Pirtzua Listim V'chulei. We see from the two dots, the double two dots, that this is a quote from the Mishnah. The Mishnah that we learned at the beginning of the Perek. Before we go on, we should make sure that we remember what the Mishnah said. The Mishnah said, "Akones tzon ladir v'na'al b'fanei kiraoi v'yatza v'yizika patur." If a person gathers his sheep, his cattle into a corral, and he locks the door so that it's well protected, v'yatza v'yizika, and the animals escape somehow unexpectedly and go out and cause damage, patur, this person is not responsible for the damages that the tzon did because he protected it appropriately. There was no negligence. If he did not protect it appropriately, did not lock it well, and it therefore escapes and causes damage, chayav, the person is responsible for this damage. Then the Mishnah continues, Nifritza balayla, if it escaped during the night, shepirtzuha listim, or the corral was opened by thieves who came in to rob, and did not rob these tzon, but did leave the door open such that the tzon escaped, v'yatza v'hizika, and when it went out and it caused damage, patur, the owner or the person responsible is patur because he protected it well. This was beyond his control, beyond his ability. The case of Nifritza Balayla is a little bit ambiguous. What does that mean? What's the difference between the day and the night? Why is he patur just because it's night? We will come back to that. So let's start the Gemara. Nifritza balayla osher pirtzua listim v'chulei. Amar Rabba v'hu shechatra. Rabba says, after the quote from the Mishnah is concluded, Amar Rabba makes a statement. Rabba the Amora makes a statement of interpretation, explanation. V'hu shechatra. That's only true if the animal dug out. Stop. Only if the animal dug out, causing the wall to fall. What does he mean? We'll see in a moment. Aval lo chatra mai. What would be if lo chatra? Chayav, implied chayav. How do we see chayav? Because in the case of the Mishnah, in these cases in the Mishnah, we know it was patur. Rabba limits the case of the Mishnah where you are patur to chatra, implying lo chatra would be chayav. You'd be responsible for the damages. What's going on? What's the case of chatra? What's the case of lo chatra? It's a little bit ambiguous at the outset, and it's worthwhile to look at Rashi, who gives some explanation. V'hu shechatra, Rashi says, Ha'detnan nifritza balayla patur, that which the Mishnah said, the case of nifritza balayla, that you are patur, kigon shechatra, that's speaking about when it dug its way out, habehema, v'pila hakotel, and thereby caused the wall to fall down, to anasu, because this makes the owners honest. The owners are completely not responsible. They had no way of controlling this. It was beyond their control. Aval lo chatra, ella me'atzma nafla. Lo chatra means it didn't dig its way out. It didn't knock off the bottom of the wall, causing it to fall. Rather, the wall just fell on its own. So these are the two options. Chatra means the animal dug at the bottom of the wall, causing it to fall. Lo chatra means the animal did nothing and it fell by itself. So Rabba is saying that if it's chatra, it's ones, because that's an unexpected activity, an animal would not normally do that. Lo chatra, if it fell by itself, the owner would not be responsible for the damages. Let's continue in the Gemara. Heichidami. What is the case? Heichidami is a common way that the Gemara will ask a question, which is asking for further clarification on the case, but it's also a bit of a challenge, saying we don't really understand what we just said. What would be a case where what we just said would make sense? Ilema bekotel bari. If it is a kotel bari, the ilema is often the beginning of a response to heichidami. If you say one possibility number one, lema always means this possibility will be rejected, and then there'll be a new possibility. Ella will be the better possibility. Ilema and Ella often go together. Ilema bekotel bari. If the wall is strong and is healthy, if the wall is strong and healthy, ki lo chatra amai chayav. Why would you ever be chayav? Mai havale l'me'evad. What havale did he have l'me'evad to do? What could he have done better? If there was a strong wall, why should you ever be patur? The real criteria should not be whether it dug or it fell by itself. The real criteria should be whether the wall was strong or not, like the Mishnah said at the beginning. Ella bekotel ra'ua. So it must be it's a kotel ra'ua. Kotel bari would make sense. Why would it be? Why would you ever be chayav? Why would you be chayav if it's lo chatra? So therefore, the alternative is kotel ra'ua. The wall must be not a strong wall. It must be a rickety wall, one which is expected to fall down. Ki chatra amai patur. So then, why are you ever patur? If the wall wasn't strong, you didn't protect the animal. You weren't keeping the animal enclosed. Amai patur. Why would you ever be patur in the case of lo chatra, which is when it fell by itself? Techilato bepeshia v'sofo be'ones. Who? It's techilato bepeshia v'sofo be'ones. At the beginning. This means at the beginning, when you started off, it was negligent. You were negligent in that you put it behind a rickety wall. V'sofo ba'ones, and in the end, it was something out of your control that happened. The animal acted in an abnormal way by digging at the bottom of a wall, which a sheep does not normally do. Techilato bepeshia v'sofo ba'onesu, and that should have been chayav, or at least it might have been chayav. Let's just take a look at how we can summarize what we've done so far. Nifritz of alayla, osha pertur listin patur. This was the quote from the Mishnah. Rabbah explained the quote, limited the quote, v'hu shechatra, saying that's only true if it's chatra, implying lo chatra chayav if it was not knocked over by the animal, but rather it fell by itself, then it would be chayav. The Gemara asked, heichidami. We have two possibilities: the ilema, the one that will be rejected, and the ella, the one that will be likely accepted. Ilema bekotel bari. If it's a strong wall, mai havale leme'evad. What could he have done? He did everything he should have done. Ki chatra mai patur. Therefore, why would you be patur when it's chatra or ever? Ella bekotel ra'ua. So it must be it's a kotel ra'ua, a rickety fence. If it's rickety, you were negligent. You put it behind a rickety fence. Ki chatra mai patur. Why would you be patur, even if the animal acted abnormally in knocking the wall over? Techilato bepeshia v'sofo be'onesu. He started off being negligent, and even though he's in the end he was ones, he should be patur. Or at least maybe he should be patur. Hanicha lemanda amar, and this is a common phrase. Hanicha, it makes sense. Lemanda amar, to the one who says, to the view who generally believes techilato bepeshia v'sofo be'ones patur. If you normally think that techilato bepeshia v'sofo be'ones is patur, then I understand why you'd be patur. Ella, which is the word which always couples with the hanicha. The possibility one made sense, but possibility number two, Ella, Lamanda Amar Techilato Bepeshia V'Sofo Ba'ones Chayav. If you now normally think Techilato Bepeshia v'sofa ba'ones is chayav, my ikala meimar, how could you explain why you would be patur in our case? Here the Gemara is clearly referencing a well-known machloket, the one who holds techilato bepeshia v'sofa ba'ones chayav, the one who holds patur, as if we know what this is. We should really, before we go on, find out what this machloket of techilato bepeshia v'sofa ba'ones is really about.